So I finally unlocked the M240L LMG, and I was so excited to unlock all of its attachments and reach beyond Mastery 50, only to find out this LMG is actually garbage. Well, that's my initial thoughts. Some of you might be, not agreeing with me right now, but that was the initial thoughts. And the reason I say that is because of the recoil. Guys, it has the highest recoil ever in the LMG category. But regardless, something happened after I started building different loadouts for it. Something that really changed this gun and made it so versatile that now I love it so much that I don't want to play without it. So today I'm going to talk to you about this LMG, obviously, show you a few game clips and explain the loadout that I'm running on it and how to get full advantage of it and where to use it. And without further ado, let's get started. So this LMG is actually one of the 3 LMGs that has the highest damage in the whole category. And the damage is 33 compared to the rest of the guns, which are 25 in damage. The problem with it though is, like I mentioned earlier, it's the highest recoil among all other LMGs. And this is just so annoying to the point that if you don't really choose the right attachments for it, the gun will feel so trash to you. So that's one thing. The other thing is the M240L has a pretty low rounds per minute. I mean, it's not the slowest, but it's definitely not good enough to give you that comfortable rate of fire. But what's really good about this LMG, not just the damage of 33, but also the TTK of this gun. The TTK is actually the shortest. It's, #1 among LMGs when it comes to TTK between 0 to 10 meters. So in very close quarters, and from 10 meters to 40 meters, it's actually very comparable to the DRS IAR, but not better than the M250. So basically after 20 meters of distance or so, roughly speaking, the M250 TTK is way better than the M240L. However, the difference is very minimal. So basically between 10 meters and 40 meters, the TTK is 2.9 for the M240 and it's 2.7 for the M250. Beyond 50 meters, things get a little bit kind of not too good in terms of the TTK and the damage in general, like, the damage drop. So the focus is up to 50 meters. This is, the area where we're talking about today in this video. And if you really want to use this LMG, I should say in the most effective way possible, you need to focus on how to take advantage of the high TTK up close. Also, how to tame the recoil and how to actually make the ADS of this gun good enough to serve you for close to mid-range firefights. So for example, if you take a look at this gun raw without any attachments and look at the ADS, it just takes years to go from hip to aiming position. But with the right attachments, this can be way better. Now you're gonna tell me, okay, well, there are a lot of attachments that increase the ADS. I can just put those on and be done with it. And that's what I did. I added attachment that makes the ADS better, namely the angled grip or rail cover, but still the ADS was not as good as I wanted it to be for this LMG to work really well in close and mid-range fights. So here's the thing, what I did was, by pure coincidence by the way, I wanted to get a different mag size on it. So I went from the 50 round mag that comes with it and put on the 75 round mag. What I noticed is that the mobility went from 50 to 75, basically a 1/3 increase in mobility. However, that translates to a small fraction of improvement in the ADS speed, but that improvement actually made a huge difference. So if we go with the 50 round mag and test the ADS speed, it probably takes between like 3 to 4 seconds for full aim. And if we switch to the 75 round mag, it really brings it down to almost half, like around 2.5 seconds or sometimes even 2 seconds to get a full aim. And that, in my opinion, is huge. It's actually crazy. It's a game changer, guys. So basically, if you combine this with other attachments that increases the ADS speed, you're going to get a very versatile gun that works pretty much everywhere in close and mid-range firefights. And it becomes very easy to control. It doesn't give you any trouble maneuvering, switching sides, or let's say changing directions while you're shooting enemies like from different angles. It becomes actually really good. Now, the other thing that I want to add, like I mentioned earlier, is the full angled grip. This grip gives you a very good recoil control and also improves weapon draw speed. But the main reason we're using it, it's not just for recoil control, but it's for the ADS accuracy while moving. Now, the rail cover is a tiny attachment, but believe it or not, it gives you a good improvement in the ADS speed, even though it's a small fraction if you look at the mobility bars. It's still pretty good to use. Now, as far as the barrel goes, with this setup that we have so far, we're going to have a very good control in close range firefights, but if you stay with the heavy barrel, that's totally fine. You're going to have a bullet velocity of 630. However, you can definitely increase the bullet velocity to 787 by using the heavy extended barrel at the expense of a small decrease in the ADS speed. But that's not a big deal because we've already added multiple attachments that improves the ADS speed. This is where your comfort level comes into play. Whatever works better for you, you can switch it up. This is the only option that I would leave it up to you to choose. However, I would stick with the attachments that I showed you, or I'm showing you, because I got to these after a lot of testing across multiple firefights and multiple game modes. Speaking of the suppressor, I wouldn't go with anything other than the CQB suppressor because of the close range firefights, since I want that comfort of good hip fire accuracy. Keep in mind the hip fire accuracy on this LMG is actually pretty bad when it's raw without no attachments. But once you put on the CQB suppressor, you will have much easier time catching enemy players trying to flank you like in a very close quarters, you know what I mean? And if you want like even better recoil control and less bloom while keeping, you know, everything else the same, you can go with the compensated brake. Of course, if you don't care about showing up on the map like or overall visibility. But this is basically what I did in terms of the loadout, and the results were really nice. I mean, I just love to run this LMG for a few matches and enjoy that short TTK, especially up close. And I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. This is GhostTech signing out. Cheers and have a good day.